I'm kind of wondering what kind of topic I want to talk about on on my Instagram. I haven't been on it for a little bit, but uh, one one topic I want to talk about is about special interests in the United States and the damage they do to or how much they take away our peace of mind and our serenity and our civil rights, and do we really need so much of their influence? Well, I want to go back to historical period in the Roman times. The Romans, they they had conquered the Israel, and the it went on for several centuries, and the Jewish clergy, both at the time of Christ and after that, they they collect taxes, or they put extra taxes on themselves, uh, religious offerings or monies, and then use this money to purchase or bribe Roman senators, which means that they had found the back door to the political power, to influencing decisions that Rome made about its satellite states. And then after a while, the level of corruption and interference in the Roman politics, which the Jews, a small state, they really weren't entitled to in any shape or form, it reached such a level that the Roman senators secretly colluded with each other, and uh, they turned against the Jews. And well, the rest of it is history. They decided to destroy their new temple, and they banished them from Jerusalem or Israel, and they sent them in all kinds of different places. But this is only one episode in Jewish history. They have a really cyclical history. This same thing happened in Egypt, and they had the Exodus. The same thing happens, and many people who have read Old Testament, that they had influence in the Persian king's court, and they used the king's mistress was Jewish, and she turned him against another person who was Persian and had legitimate grievance, and they lost out in court. Uh, then at the time of Prophet Muhammad, there were Jewish tribes that fought bitterly with Prophet Muhammad and with Imam Ali, and they lost. But they had such an influence that they were really the kingmakers. They were using usury and precious metals. They really controlled the the peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula. Well, in our times, the Jews, they have the APAC in United States, and this organization controls who gets elected to Congress or Senate. And if they find out that a senator or a would-be senator or would-be congressman or woman holds anti-Israel positions, then they will help the other guy, and they are like a weight, political weight that falls on the other side of the pendulum, and constantly aggravates. And well, this is just in pre-elections, but they have tremendous influence in the Senate and in Congress, and it's particularly sad how destructive these races Jews are, and and it's very particularly difficult for nations to get rid of their influence. Well, in our recent times in Iranian history, is the well, Federal Reserve and U.S. Treasuries. They're usually manned by Jews, by pro-Israel individuals, and they have instituted tremendous amount of sanctions against Iran, and this has gone on to sanctioning other countries to Russia. But previously in history, U.S. in cahoot with them, they sanctioned, for example, Cuba, very seriously damaged their economy. I think that the APAC and the U.S. Treasury and U.S. Federal Reserve, they tremendously damaged our Iranian economy and made it very difficult for Iran to do business or export oil. Iran barely is able to come back to previous levels in oil exports. But things have gone wrong. And it always does go wrong with this minority that they do things that are they want to control and govern other nations, and also at the same time humiliate them. Well, Quran calls them mustakbir or istikbar, which means like keeping yourself as like some overseer over every kind of human activity. But I don't think they will come to a very nice ending. But I don't want to devote all this video to just Jews. Let's talk about other stuff that's going on in there in the United States. That's also very toxic influences. Well, another one that's right now is in the news is all these mass shootings that have been going on all over the United States. And every time U.S. politicians or mayors, they want to stop this and collect all these guns and weapons, well, there is a lobby. There is a strong lobby, not just simply a lobby that I think one of them is called NRA, National Rifle Association. They have a lot of money. They pay off senators. They stop any legislation that wants to curtail owning all these weapons. Many of them are high-powered machine guns or rifles or shotguns. If a person gets hit by a shotgun, they're done. They're dead. Well, this is a lobby, and it's not by any means the only lobby that's tormenting Americans. Well, about I don't know how long was it ago, 5 years or 10 years ago, the Supreme Court passed a resolution or okayed that corporations they can be like an individual. They can pay and influence politicians. So now many huge corporations that they should have no place in decision making, because a political entity, say Congress or a Senate, really, if you want to look at things, if you want to have a democratic system, they cannot represent corporations. They cannot represent a special interests like Jews or bankers, because that's in conflict, very serious conflict with the concept of democracy. It means that we elect these people, they are supposedly represent us, and they should not be meddling, they should not be thinking or doing anything in regards to the stock market or what the corporations are doing, or this is illegal. It should be illegal. Well, I support that the politicians become like employees. They represent a certain segment of population or other segment, and they get a salary. If a politician, according to my view, if they received some money from, say, Microsoft or from, I don't know, some oil company, they would have committed a very serious crime. They should not be able to do that. But when the lobbying or special interest goes on in such an extent, to such a wide, that really the American population really don't have any control or say so on what goes on. Well, they certainly don't have say so or control over their own money. The U.S. Central Bank, Federal Reserve, is owned again by a lot of other Jews. So why the world needs all these Jews in very high sensitive posts in government? And other countries that deal with the United States, they have much more difficult time. It's because these guys, they just make the decisions between themselves, and then they go through the government, and the government says, "Oh, we're just gonna bomb the fuck out of Yugoslavia tomorrow." Well, how did you get into this decision? It's because these groups, these Zionists and Wahhabis, and all these people, that they came to the conclusion that we have this interest. It would be better if there wasn't a unified Yugoslavian government. It would be really better. I think in the future, well, I've talked about this in several of my psychic predictions, that many of these technicians, Jewish criminals, they're going to get popped because, say, a foreign country like Russia or Iran that has been damaged very seriously with the stuff that they have managed to do, there is motivation right there, the desire to get rid of these people or bring them to justice. Well, a good example of this would be Pompeo and Netanyahu. Pompeo wanted to sweeten himself to Netanyahu, so he instituted a kind of CIA sponsored assassination of Iranian top general, General Soleimani, and top general of Iraq, Mohandes al-Mahdi. And well, he thought that this will not have any kind of repercussions, but it did. The first things that happened, many blowbacks came from it. Well, the first one was that Iran told the United States that we're going to retaliate militarily against you, and they they used very accurate rockets. I think they call it Fateh 10, which is not even it's pretty old rocket in Iranian arsenal, and they used it to completely demolish two major bases the United States had in Iraq. Well, United States is hiding casualty rates, but informally in Iranian media and other Arab media, it says that 148 Americans died in just Ain al-Assad, which is the bigger base. I don't know. News from the other base is very sketchy. So what was going on there, and who got killed or who didn't. Anyhow, then Iran tracked down a plane that the United States had, were carrying 20, 30 top U.S. Commanders and United States CIA operative or chief for Middle East, Ayatollah Mike, and killed them all. Those were the first casualties. Then Iranian government has been hunting down Israeli operatives, or they killed 40 of them in Erbil. But I fully anticipate that Pompeo will get assassinated. That he's within reach of Iranian weapons. But let's not just talk about Pompeo. Let's talk about many U.S. elites, like let's say Biden himself. He's the author of many foreign wars. Not only that, he also keeps wars going on in Syria, in Ukraine. Well, who's to say that some foreign country, Russia or China, wouldn't be interested in nuking Washington, D.C.? Because these people have caused a lot of problems. A lot of wars all around the world is authored by them. But well, this is like a macro view, but on the local level, well, all these very strong lobbies and special interests, do they really leave any kind of constitutional safeguards or guarantees or any way for Americans to function or bring out their own politics, which may not be what the Zionist states desires? Well, we saw some of that, some of the Yankee politics. I think a lot of their politics of these disgusting people is really the politics of KKK. Well, a lot of the stuff that Trump was doing was really really prettified KKK. His policy with immigration, making walls, the fact that he had some blacks around him, it was only like a decoration to kind of pump up his image so he can get to the White House. But really, when you look at these people, they are very racist. They're very segregationist. There is nothing in middle of America politics about them, but even that sewage line couldn't really open up into its own backyard. It was just everything is so controlled at the top. And I went through, I discussed AIPAC, I discussed white supremacists, people who are fanatics to own gun. And the last one I want to talk about is white male gaze, that they have acquired political power, and they show their presence in everywhere, in Hollywood, in social occasion. Well, when I look at their counterparts, like in India or in Iran or in other countries, Russia, they're usually very withdrawn kind of individuals, because society strongly condemns them and doesn't let them come in and do their bullshit. But in the United States, they have provided them with all these legal safeguards. Uh, well, over here, male on male rape is on the rise. These gays becoming violent on males, or on desired males, and because they come in and they are so active in social circles. Then, like, I've seen many numerous examples. Like, I'm trying to approach a lady, we are talking with each other, and suddenly this guy comes in, and he's like flashing himself in, and he just barges into the conversation and shows interest in her initially, and then shows interest in me. Like, well, the atmosphere that you need to socialize with women is not exactly the same atmosphere that's in a gay bar. It's just they kind of ruin things. They don't belong in every circle. But the same is that uh, in the older cultures, with words and with shoving them to the side if necessary, the older cultures, Russian, Iranian, Arab, they kind of put them in their place, and the other people have a chance to experience social life without all this other stuff going on. Well, uh, this is you gotta see this, understand what I'm talking about. Well, the last one is about abortion, and in Islamic culture, it says that Sharia law says that if a woman gets pregnant, she needs to abort before the 90 days of pregnancy is over. This is a very smart way of doing things, because she'll have at least a month to figure out that, hey, I don't want this kid, I can't support this kid. And the kid is still a fetus, and well, there is some theological arguments of when the spirit gets in, but I'm not going after those arguments. I don't think the spirit gets in even somebody is much older, like 30s or 40s. If God wants to get into a body, well, that's another discussion. But aborting before the 90 days, it resolves a lot of legal and moral issues in society, and it really, society cannot continue with this dialogue and this warfare in the courts too, if we don't observe this simple rule. Because then what will happen is that one court will say that, hey, it's okay to have abortions, and many kids that are like 8 months into the pregnancy, they get aborted. It's like killing a person. Or I mean, there should be some common sense. But both sides of these arguments are extremely weaponized and financed. So I mean, it's a nasty. Well, there was another one that I want to talk about how Trump weaponized immigration laws, immigration services in the United States. He's actually a real criminal, and he tormented many Iranians that even had green cards when they were trying to get back into the United States. But much worse than that, his obscene influence on the U.S. CIS, on U.S. immigration, and what previously USCIS was called INS, Immigration and Naturalization Service, and it like an alien that lays eggs, and becomes several zombie aliens. They have metamorphized themselves into several agencies. One was USCIS, the other one is Homeland Security, and there is one that is in the airports. I don't know what they call them. They're obscene people, and they torment foreigners. Even if you are wealthy or very educated, they still come in, and they make U.S. immigration very unpredictable. And U.S. immigration is actually completely outside of purview of the courts. Many of the regulations are totally unconstitutional and arbitrary. Well, I would say one example. Well, I don't think Democrats like this example very much. Well, John F. Kennedy, he womanized a lot, and he had found a girlfriend from Germany. She was a very nice lady, and their romance had kind of soured. So he used INS, which is actually like a militia for the president, to have his girlfriend evicted, or what's the word for it? Expelled from United States. Other presidents too. They you don't know what is going to happen with them. When they are in a good mood, and these girlfriends or foreign drug lord or warlord is giving them the right blowjob, then none of their laws or regulations is something that the courts would kind of okay. Well, the courts are the only branch of U.S. government that's not totally fucked in the head. They're like sober. That's the only word that really fits. They're sober. They look at the common sense, constitutional constraints, their previous cases, kind of judicious kind of review of, and this exists only after an immigrant or would-be immigrant has exhausted all his resources and monies, and now has gone and hired a very expensive attorney to go to the only court that oversees INS or USCIS. Basically, these organizations are criminal organizations. Well, on the end, I want to talk about the many detention or really prisons that the United States puts foreigners. They had actually abducted many Afghanis, many of the people that even were working for them, and brought them into the United States or into its prisons. and these people are being court-martialed basically with very few legal rights representations. A lot of this stuff is totally illegal, immoral, and also United States does not participate in international criminal court. So if a foreign government has problems with Pompeo, as an example, as a very good example, then we couldn't go to this court and file a complaint against him that he has committed murder, he has killed our top general. Could we? No, we can't do that. So I think that the chances of assassinations and retaliations are very high, and it could also be in a massive scale. Well, in the video I made, 2022 psychic predictions, I predicted that the U.S. is going to get attacked by EMPs. I actually had a spiritual experience about this. I've had many psychic experiences talking about the future of United States. Well, as if all this stuff isn't enough, I was listening to an Iranian journalist. Her name is Parveen Zamani, and he brought in a gentleman that was a scholar studying all the writings, all the sayings of Prophet Muhammad and Imam Ali. Oh my God, what Prophet Muhammad describes as end times was like to the clue. He talks about how there will be a nation, 50 stars on the ground, and that this nation will be really controlled by the Jews in Zionists, and that what will happen, promised the Mehdi will come in, how things, and also talks about that there will be a nuclear war between United States and China. Doesn't talk about as much about it being between Russia and United States, but it talks about that the Jews were really what instigate this last war. Well, another funny thing is that Prophet Muhammad also talks about the future and about Brazil, that in the Brazil, even though it's very lush and wealthy nation, it has become poor by its corruption that exists in its government. Then it goes on talk about a game that exists in Brazil. Prophet Muhammad says that there is this game that they're going to be playing. It's like in a giant green field, and he says that well, they have this ball, Korea, that is made of. Back then, the only word they had for it was from leather. It's a leather ball, and they kick it around between them. It's amazing how someone 1400 years ago, really good psychic, is as if he's like looking in there and looking at this game, this alien game. Well, I'm a Muslim. I do have enough evidence to believe in Prophet Muhammad and his prophecy, but you know, something such a description would be enough for anybody, like somebody in ages gone by. Well, this guy who was reading the stuff, he said, I'm gonna, you know, this might sound very unbelievable. I'm gonna be reading it straight from the text, Arabic text, and he read it and translated it line by line. Bizarre, huh? You wouldn't believe that. I can't believe that such a thing happened. But you know, Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna call this video "Toxic Influences," and that we got too much of them, and that something bad will happen to this society when there is so much going on with it. Thank you very much for being my YouTube channel and my Instagram. Please don't be shy. Leave your comment. Thanks.